without the heat tool, it dries super fast, which is awesome. But with the heat tool, it would take like seconds, which is awesome. It's amazing because I'm really impatient, so that's super helpful for me. So next I'm going in with the flame layer. I'm going to lay this right down on the surface. Alright, and then I'll grab a little bit more mint tape. And I'm just going to tape this down onto the card. I really need my heat tool. The way that I left my heat tool down, I'm like, I could be doing so much right now. But you want it? It's just right there. It's not Ranger.
Is it crafted mid?
She is so cute.
Yes, I see that.
Thank you so much. Somebody can get the heat tool. I keep switching desks, so I just leave things at every place I go.
You're too popular.
Yeah. All right.
You're not in the way. You're good.
So I'm gonna add paste down onto these flames now. I'm just blending it onto the surface super easily.
You're fine. You're totally fine.
All right. And you can get some really beautiful color. So then if you let that layer dry a little bit, you can always go back in with more color, just to kind of intensify that a little bit, which is really great. And I'll lift this off again, and you get such a beautiful effect. So and then once this dries even more, so like once that yellow dries, it will be just even more shiny. I find that like once they dry, it kind of loses, because they're a little bit shiny when they're wet. So once it loses that like shine from being wet, it gets super shimmery, which is awesome. So these are some of the finished backgrounds.
Yeah.
And they just look beautiful. Like I love them. So to do a background, to apply it with your fingers, well first let's clean this up actually. Because the cleanup is kind of a fun part to use some of your waste. Yeah, because there's a lot of paste on there still, and we didn't even use much. So these little jars last a long time, which is really awesome. At first when we made
Unless
them,
your name is Elizabeth.
yeah, then they go pretty quick, you know. And they go quick.
No, one of my friends, yeah.
Oh.
Simon knows her, yeah.
All right, so
She goes through this stuff. She's his #1 fan.
yeah, I go through it like mad because I use so much of it. But yeah, it lasts so long because a little bit goes a really long way. So I'm gonna spray a little bit down onto the surface, and then
Yes.
I'm gonna take a piece of black cardstock and I'll just sort of dip it into the surface there, and it just starts picking up some of that color. And you're like, oh, it looks kind of like a hot mess right now, right? But once this dries, it gets super shiny again, and then you're able to dry it and use it for like die cutting and creating backgrounds like that, which is really amazing. So that is what I love so much about like a background like this, is you're just using your waste, but you're making something new out of it.
And I love that you're not swiping it, so you're using less of what your waste is, so you can do more of the background.
Yeah, you can do a ton of these backgrounds. It's really quite beautiful.
A super
And then-
shimmery, grungy but shimmering background.
Yeah, super shimmery.
Water?
You just dip it into the paste to clean it up. But you
It's
get-
like ink
you
smushing,
get
but with
cool
the
background.
pastes.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah.
really cool. So then I'm going to go into my heat tool. Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. Thank you so much for going on that scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
It's alright, she just looked at me and went,
That's so fun.
I
Oh,
do,
yeah.
if
We
that's
totally
okay.
can. Yep.
Only because my husband is your biggest fan.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Everybody is Simon's fans.
I
Yes.
love you, but anyway, I'm friends with your mum on Instagram, and she's like the best
Awesome.
person ever. Yeah, no, my husband did a class with you in Phoenix at CREATIVATIon, and he,
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah.
properly was like, oh my god, I'm friends with Simon Hurley now.
That's awesome.
And he was, yeah, he was.
Fangirls. Okay, he's not a fangirl. He's a fan guy. But we're fangirls, yes.
Was it in 2019?
I took a picture with Simon yesterday and sent it to my friend because she's not here.
Okay.
rubbing
Yeah,
it in.
I did take a
Oh,
picture.
absolutely.
That was so fun.
I've been saying something ever since he told me he was going to be out
So
here.
funny.
It's like, yes.
There's my friend Simon. We
That's
did a class
awesome.
together. There's my friend Simon.
I'm recording.
Hilarious.
I've got to record
This
Simon.
creates so
Yeah.
much texture on the background then too. Now you can touch it, feel the vision. So it dries pretty quickly with that heat tool then
And
too.
I'll record, of course.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if you die cut that, all that texture is going to stay in there, which is really beautiful.
I'm thinking that would look great just as a background.
Yeah, such cool colors together, right?
Okay, here comes.
Yep,
This is
I'm
gonna-
gonna do that right now. Yep.
Are you gonna clean it up, or are you gonna make another background with
I'm
it?
gonna clean it up.
Oh.
I'm gonna clean it up. I know. What can I say?
Gotta show all the colors.
Yeah, we could be doing this all day otherwise. Just cleaning
Yeah.
this up.
Well, I'm one of the bad ones, and I wipe everything right off of the stencil because I'm impatient.
I do that as well. Because the thing is, with the backgrounds, like it's
It's
good
trying to
make-
figure out what to use them for because
Right.
they're so pretty. You don't want to cut them, but you don't want to
Right.
cover anything up.
Yeah, cardstock's pretty expensive, so it's like if you're gonna use the cleanup mess, like I would use this for like die cutting something out of. Like we have some cool dies from Spellbinders now that are pretty new, and there's like floral silhouettes, so like, that could be really beautiful to like die cut this out of with, because it's so shiny and pretty. But like some of the backgrounds, like I don't know, you kind of decide like what you're gonna actually use because otherwise I'm not gonna clean it up.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'm just
have
gonna
lots of backgrounds that are
swipe it
not
into
getting
the trash.
used.
Yeah. All right,
Lots
so
and lots and lots.
let me show you the embossing. So
Oh yes, I love the 3D
are
embossing
embossing
folders,
folders, yeah.
but I'm not good at putting the lunar paste on top, anything really on top of them.
Yeah,
I'm
so
still
maybe seeing it in person will
experimenting.
help.
Yeah.
So these are some alternate embossing folders. I love their embossing folders because they do such a good job with these flowers. They're beautiful to color. So
Yeah.
let me just grab, let's do this one. This one I already started, so I'll do the rest of the florals. So I'm gonna go in using, let's see, what do we want here? Let's do a yellow flower maybe.
I was thinking that.
I'll do yellow with pink on top.
Oh yes.
All right, so you're gonna wanna go in with your finger, and what I do is I take the color and I like kind of swipe my finger off on the side here, so we're not getting too much because you want to still be able to see your finger underneath it. And like once people do this a couple times, they get the hang of it.
Because we always use too much.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll start with too much and then it just sinks down into the cardstock. So this is helpful to do just a little bit at a time, and then you go in with a really light hand and you just go in and touch the top of the surface. And again, a really light pressure, or sorry, a really little bit of paste goes a super long way when you do this. Like, there's barely anything out of that jar, right? When I started with, when we manufactured these lunar pastes, Ranger was about to do a 1 ounce jar, and I was like, I want 2 ounces in the jar. And they were like, that's gonna last for a really long time. And I was like, I know, but I'm gonna use it. Yeah, I go
No,
through it.
you fall in love with it.
You do.
If you've got extra, you're not worried about wasting it.
Exactly. I encourage people to use it because there's a lot in this jar. Like even when you're stenciling, like a little bit goes a really long way. So
Yes.
that's what I love about it. So we can add some pink to there because it like really starts to dry once you touch it to the cardstock. It's almost dry, like a couple
Right.
seconds. So like that's pretty much almost already dry. It's crazy. And then you can go in with, let's see, what is like a little orange. A little orange color. And we'll just take literally the tiniest amount and go right in the center. It's like finger painting.
Could you use a tool with this? I mean, the
So
folders
you
fine.
could use a tool, but the reason why I tell everyone to use their finger is because one of these sponge tools is just it's gonna soak it up, but also what could be used as a sponge. It was good, but it sinks in because it's got so much give to it, push, yeah. So like with your finger, you can tell how much pressure you're applying, and if you want to lighten it
That's
up.
true.
So yeah, that's why I always tell
Yeah.
people use your finger because you can really like tell the pressures.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to practice more with that because I usually use like just a really little brush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
but
small, one of those small blending brushes, about like that size. I've used
Oh,
that
yeah,
size,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
that
so-
works. But it's still where
Yeah,
I'm
you
probably
could use
using
these.
more than I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sinks into the cracks if you use a sponge, so that's why I keep it on the top of the surface.
So I really need to start using my finger tool more.
Yeah, you need to use your finger tool. It's the best. It's the best tool you have. All right, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna grab a little bit of Later Gator, grab a little bit of color on my finger, and then again, start swiping it onto the surface. And it's really just therapeutic. It's really easy to do, super simple for anyone to do, but it just gives such great, stunning results every time.
It's almost like gilding.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, but the thing is, someone asked earlier about like a wax, if it's similar to a wax, if you have to fluff it or anything like that. But the answer is no. It's almost like a paint. So I would think about it as a thicker paint. So like
Yeah.
it holds all the texture that you give it, but at the same time, once this stuff's dry, it's not moving, which is the best part about it. And I didn't want it to come off on everyone's hands, because that's the worst. That's my least favorite thing on this planet is like getting something and then being covered in like gold afterwards. Even though like I am
Days.
covered in stuff, but like yeah, if you give someone a card, I don't want to be messy, you know? So that's why I like this.
Because what is it that everybody in the world besides crafters hate? All, even crafters. Glitter.
Glitter. I hate glitter. It's the worst. So that's why I love this stuff. It's really it's not
It gives
messy.
it gives you the look without the mess.
Right, which is what I love. All right, I'm gonna go in using a little bit of Psych too. This is one of my favorite colors from the line. It matches ink pads too. I forgot to mention this. I always forget to tell people this, but yeah, I'm really kind of dumb when it comes to this. But like it matches,
It
so
matches.
it matches really well too. So we're sort of completing the line. Like we're not gonna do every color probably, but like any color that's really necessary.
Eventually, you'll do all of them.
Probably,
Yeah.
but the awesome part about it is if I've made a card using Psych and I want something to match it, but I want it to be shimmery and shiny, that's where this comes in handy. So like I've done many cards where I'm like, okay, I inked a background, but now I want like a border around my card, and then I'll do it in this because it's shiny then. Here I'm going to use a little bit of Psych just to add some highlights to this. So once the color underneath it is dry, you're good to go in and add whatever color you want on top, which is really awesome. Or you could like keep
that
it
is
what's wet and
gorgeous.
sort of blend it more. But either
How
way,
many colors do you have?
that's a good question.
Yeah, because I don't have them all anymore. I did.
Let's count
And then you
together.
came out with more stuff.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21. Unless I'm missing
And I
something
think I've
here.
got like about 10. I mean, he's come out with a lot
Yeah.
since.
People ask me that all the time, and then I forget because we add like 4 more, and I'm like,
Right.
what number are we at now?
Yeah.
So I have to count almost every time. But yeah, it creates this really beautiful shiny effect. Yeah.
Very pretty.
And so something that's also really cool about this is like, let's show this. So I'm gonna go in using, let's see. I'm gonna go in and do. Okay, it's gonna be kind of ugly, but I want to show you guys like some like. There's a purpose behind the ugliness. I'll do this. Sure. So these two colors would usually make mud, right? Orange and blue, not a good color
That's Auburn
combination
colors.
together. Yeah. They're bad. But
Yes.
the awesome part about lunar paste is when you go in, and so let's apply a little bit of orange down here. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do it pretty quickly, but just applying a little bit of orange. So I'm gonna let this dry. I'll go in with the heat tool this time because I wanna just make sure it's perfectly set in place. But again, it only takes a couple of seconds.
Privacy.
Oh, I love mine. Yeah.
And then, I'm gonna wipe my finger off. So then I'm gonna go in with blue. Ugly, but I wanna just show you that it's not gonna blend, right? So, we'll go in using a little bit of blue on top. And it doesn't create brown.
Right. Nice.
So it's super awesome. That's what I love about it is wait for that bottom layer to dry.
She's in shock.
Yeah, but anybody can use it because you
No,
don't
that's
even-
good.
You don't even need to know color theory for it, which is really awesome. Because once that paint is dry underneath, you're able to add whatever sort of color you want on top. So if you're a big fan of red and green, you could do that. If you're a big fan of orange and blue, you could do that too. I mean, I would never do an orange and blue flower, but hey, if it's up your wheelhouse, this is good to go. So that's what I really love about the lunar paste. Let's do something with a stencil. So I'll show you this new stencil. This one is called Geometric Circles. It just came out. I gotta remember because sometimes I'll name things that are really similar to each other, and then I'll be like, oh, I have 3 things that are named diamonds. Like, which one is this? So I gotta be more creative when it comes to the naming process, I guess.
Can we see it on white?
Yeah, let's do it on white. So I'll do some inks and then I'll do some lunar paste on top. So you saw me do 2 layers of lunar paste. When I do like a layering stencil like that, I would usually do them flat like I did because then the second layer is able to still be down on the surface. Whereas here, I'm gonna do a layer of inks and then I'm gonna do a layer of lunar paste on top to sort of emphasize.
Gorgeous when you do
Yeah,
that.
it's really pretty. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of mint tape. I'm gonna add a little bit underneath the cardstock.
So you can go all the way to the edge.
Yep,
Yes.
so you can go all the way to the edge, and then, what section do we want to be in lunar paste? This one or this one?
This one.
This one in lunar
Yes.
paste? Okay. So I'll start with this one then. So these have little etched symbols in them. So it just says GC2, which is GeoCircles 2. But it's just so that you can read that so that you know what's right side up when you have this stencil, which is really nice. So yeah, we do it on all of our layering stencils so that you can see like what you're doing and if you have it the right direction, which is really nice. I'll go in using a little bit of mint tape and I'm gonna line it up and then place it down. This stencil set just came out, like very recently. The really cool part about this one, and you can check it out on my YouTube channel too, I have tons of videos out on there.
Oh, you do the same one twice.
Yeah, so this is just the same one twice. And then you could do this one twice as well if you just shift it a little bit, and you'll have like little diamond patterns. I'll show you that after this. But with one stencil set, you can get like so many different looks, which is really awesome. When you do geometric things like this, it's really easy to keep doing the same design in different ways, you know? All right, so let's go in, and I'm gonna use a color that I didn't use before. Let's try something new. Let's do this. Cool, that's pretty. That's a pretty one. And then I'll go in
one of my
using-
favorites.
Yeah, Minty Fresh is such a great
Yes.
color. And then I'll go in.
And then you got Tropical Tango.
That's one of my faves.
Yeah. Okay, blue green. Yeah.
Oh, wait, let's do Tropical Tango. Sure, let's do that one. I like that one. Oh no, we're gonna do.
No, we're gonna go with the lighter
yeah.
color, so there's a little bit of contrast.
So it's gonna be contrasting each
Oh,
other.
that with the E.
If you do both of the same, you could do like Minty Fresh and then Minty Fresh, which is shiny on top of it. That could be cool too. But I'm gonna do contrasting here with Tropical Tango.
So those two colors go well together anyway.
Yeah, they're really beautiful. What'd you say?
Like the Q-taps and use the coordinating paste on ink.
Yeah, totally. Because the paste is just a little bit different than the ink because it shifts. So it's like darker at some points and lighter at some. So it's really cool when you do that. So I'm gonna go in and really quickly blend this in. This is using my Stark White cardstock and just the Dome Foam blending tool. The really great thing about the Stark White cardstock, a lot of people are like, it's just white cardstock, like what's different about it? The really,
White.
It's really bright white. It's super thick. It takes water really nicely, so I can go on and on about it. But the really great part about it that I love is it blends beautifully. So it takes the ink really well, because some cardstocks in the industry are coated. They have like a little coating on the top of the surface, which makes it so you can blend, but you don't get saturated colors. Like, because this one you could do really light, or you could go in and like do really saturated, whereas some you could just get the light color and then it kind of stops taking the ink.
Right.
So that's why I love this cardstock so much. All right, I'll go in and blend this out. Cool. Then I'm gonna go in using Lunar Paste for the second layer. So really pretty as is, but we can go into the second layer again. I'm gonna find where it has that little number on the bottom so you know which way to layer it. And then it just pretty much slots into place right in between all of those areas. You'll go in using a little bit more mint tape. Yeah, the tape is really awesome. I love it. All right, and then I'm gonna go in using a little bit of Minty Fresh Lunar Paste. I love this color. It's a little bit, it's lighter than the Tropical Tango, so it'll contrast it really nicely. And I'm gonna go in again using the paste tool set. So again, the really awesome part about this tool set is, once again, you have both tools at once, which is really great. So you can scoop it out with one, and then you're able to really easily smooth it over top with the other one. So I'll go in here using a little bit of that Minty Fresh Lunar Paste, and I'm just gonna spread it over the bottom of the stencil. So just add a lot, don't be afraid of the Lunar Paste. And then I'm gonna go in here using the scraper tool, and you're just going to take it and scrape it right across the surface. And it covers it pretty much instantly. And if you need to cover the other area, just go over here and scrape it on. If you've got more on the top surface like this, all you need to do is just tilt the thing more and it'll release all that paste. Right, but then when you want it to smooth over top, you just scrape it in a more upward motion and it'll collect all the paste. And then we can scoop it off. So you're not wasting any, because you can put it right back into the jar. That's why I always encourage you to add more than you need, because then you can spread it across the whole way, which is really nice. But you're not wasting any. Sometimes I do color blends where I'll put several colors down there, and then you're not really able to put it back in the jar because you've contaminated it. So then I'll just take the excess here and I'll swipe it onto another piece of cardstock, and once that dries, you could die cut out of it, you could use it as a background. So you can still use the excess, which is really nice. Thanks. So I'll wipe off my tools before they dry on there. All right.
Reveal time! Yes!
Reveal time.
Oh, that's lovely.
All right, and it gets really nice crisp edges because the Lunar Paste is thick enough so that it's not going to seep underneath your stencil. I find that some are a little bit too liquidy, so they seep underneath. This one's thick enough, but it's also easy to spread, which I really like. So I'm going to lift this. There we go.
That is
Set it
gorgeous.
on top of here. Those are my little drying racks. I use them all the time in my craft room. Just the lunar paste lids. Love that. And then I'm going to go in here and just clean this up. So again, you could clean it with your paper if you want to, but I'm just going to go in with my paper towel and wipe it off the surface. So super easy to clean when it's wet. You want to clean it while it's wet on your surface. If it dries, again, go back to that paste tool set. I've been doing it all week because I've been leaving stuff on accident here. You just and scrape it all off. It's really easy. Yeah, that tool set's my favorite because I was always wondering. I was like, why is everyone selling these tools separately? Like, you literally need both of them.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, we're gonna do a set because it doesn't make sense why anybody else is selling this separate.
I suppose you could use a card underneath it and then go with the blending tool to make a distract background.
Yeah,
You don't even have to
definitely
use the blending tool.
No, you could just dab
You
it
could
in.
literally, you could
Yeah,
dab
just
it or
wipe
you could
it
use
off
the
with
paper
the-
towel
yeah.
and just wipe it off. Yeah, it's a really cool way to make a background. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend that will not waste any of it, and that's what she does. She's one of his #1 fans. She has all the
She's
things.
so sweet.
Only one of
But, well, until you said that, I was going to say she was the #1, but I'm trying to be courteous here, okay? Everybody
She's the
loves
#1
Simon. But yeah,
female.
this is doing what he's doing now with cardstock underneath is exactly how to clean it off and
course.
get
Thank you
another
so much.
background.
I love that.
She yells at me if I wipe the stuff up.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous, Simon.
So when it comes to this, I'm gonna heat set this for you guys because it's pretty right now, but it gets even prettier once it's dry.
Yes.
And the paste is heat stable, which I really love. I told the chemist, I was like, I'm too
Yeah, I don't
impatient
think
for
that
this.
even, that doesn't even bubble up, I don't think.
Nope, it doesn't
Some
bubble.
of the other ones bubble up.
Yeah. You do have to keep your heat tool moving. If you set it in one spot the whole time, it's gonna bubble.
Or if you use your embossing tool instead of that one, it's better to use the
tool
heat
might bubble as well, yeah.
because it's too hot.
Yeah, so it's really awesome to dry it like this, and then you get all of that amazing shine out of it, right? So I
I'm
love
sorry,
that.
I've been talking way too much because it's all about you, but I get excited.
Stamp and that's super awesome.
Did you buy that?
All right. It's in your cart.
Is it my card?
It's in your cart. So once that's nice and dry, it's pretty much dry already. Really quick for the paste, right? But you get all of that amazing shine on top of that surface. So once
Yes.
it's dry, it loses the kind of moisture that was in it, and it just gives all that amazing shine. Yeah, it's super cool. So that's what I love about this. And then using the stencil set, again, you can get all these different looks. And let's do another one using the inside of the stencil. So I'm gonna go in here, just using this piece right here. Yeah, it's a mirror paste, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna
I
go
love
in
my
here.
lunar paste. My husband heard me talking to some people on a live stream about Simon's stuff, and he bought me
Yeah,
the
you
set
can-
that was out
yeah,
at that
yep,
time for
yep,
Christmas.
now.
He overheard me raving about it, so yeah, that's how I got most of mine. I had like 2 at the time, so I wound up with like 10.
All right, so let's jump into this
Yes,
one.
I had
So I'm
to
gonna
tell
grab a
him
little
that
bit more
I
tape,
know Simon. Yeah.
tape it down to hold it on the surface. And then let's go in with Crown Me and No Diving. I love choosing
Because
the
those are
colors.
2 colors I do not have, so yes.
Yes,
Show me all the things I don't have yet.
exactly. Things that you need,
So wait,
right?
don't enable me anymore. Stop it.
All right. So I'm gonna add this down onto the surface. Tape it down to hold it in place. This time I'm just gonna use the inks. So let's go in here. At home I got a blending tool with every different color on it. Here I gotta switch it out.
You get 2.
Right. Here I get a couple tools. They're like, nope, you get foams.
Make it work.
Right. All
So
right.
you're from here?
Yeah.
Awesome. My in-laws live here. That's why. So we're staying with them right now. Like, cool.
We work with Simon's Stamp.
Awesome.
So
All the things.
products, Ranger,
All the things.
That's so awesome.
Fabulous.
So I'm gonna go in using a little bit of Crown Me. I'm gonna use my domed foam blending tool again and swipe it onto the surface here. And again, it just blends super smooth on top of that.
Yeah, I love how easy the color's going down.
And one of my favorite
It's
parts
the
about
paper.
it.
No, he already told us about the paper. I'm
One of my
sorry.
favorite parts. It's stark white cardstock, so it just takes the ink really well. The tool helps to blend with that, like no rough edges on there, but then the paper just gives
It's
the
just
ink more
sucking it in.
intensity. So like it just adds the property. So I'm gonna blend that out so that it just leaves it out to white there. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna shift the stencil just a little bit over to the side.
Oh, that's gonna be a pretty pattern.
So shift it like that. Then I'll go in with a little bit of no diving. I'm gonna go in here and blend that on top of the surface. So it's super simple to do. And again, I'll just blend that out to white. There we go. You can lift it off the surface, and you get a really cool checkered pattern then. So yeah,
Fabulous.
3 different looks out of like that one stencil set. So that's one thing I really love about this when it comes to the different geometric shapes, is you can use just one layer and shift it a little bit, or you can use both together and create a really cool design like that.
How many different stencils is it, 2?
Yeah, but it's 2 different stencils. They come in one set. It's called
Layering.
Geo circles, so they just layer together like that, or you could use them separate. Really fun.
Fabulous.
All right. What else do you guys want to see? Stamping foam?
Again, yes.
Stamping foam?
Well, I saw,
Now that I have my heat tool.
yeah.
All right.
I love the stamping foam.
Yes. So let's do it with something. I'm gonna go in here and clean
I
this
used
off.
it to pick up the relief off of a stone wall that's in my in-laws' house.
Oh, nice. That's
So you know
pretty
the stone, how they build up a lot of them out of stone, and it's been almost 2 years. I haven't taken it off of the foam yet. But yeah, you can get it off. Yeah. Well, that's what I think he's probably.
Yeah, you just
he's
re-
either
you
going to
just
stamp with
reheat
this
it
one,
and then it goes flat again.
Yeah.
So you can keep using it over and over, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
and you can do a different design on each side. And then you've got the ones that are the shapes.
All right, what should I do it with? Let's
Like-
do these candles.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go in with the heat tool. You're gonna heat set it. So you
So
just
he's
heat
removing
it for
it
about
now.
10 to 15 seconds,
Yep.
and then it'll go back to flat. So you can keep the design in it as long as you want if you like just leave it and don't heat it back up. But if you heat it back up, it'll flatten right back,
And mine's been in there so long it might not flatten all the way back up. But
and then you
It's
can
my
keep
fault.
using it over and over.
That just means get more of it.
All right, so then once you've got it good and hot, you want to get your surface ready,
Take a quick.
and then grab the texture by pressing down onto the surface. And then you've got that texture in there.
So you basically have a reverse stamp.
Yeah, so it reverses the stamped image, and then you get a really cool effect. So you could use this with like sweaters. Like I've done cable knit sweaters. I've done like the back of our family room chairs.
Yeah,
you
that's
can do a
why I
ton of
did the
things, yeah.
wall.
Mhm.
It's because I saw that you had done the chair. He did like a wicker pattern thing. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you put in
Oh.
plates, the heat plates, the hot foil plates?
Oh yeah, the hot foil. Yeah, those are super cool with this.
So this is where he
They do an
used
amazing
the
job.
stamping foam with that, I think. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Yeah.
All right, so then when I add my
don't have
color down
enough
onto the
money to get
surface,
all of
I
these
usually take the ink
things.
pads, and instead of tapping like this, because it doesn't give the best coverage, I go in with the ink pad and I just swipe it onto the surface like this, and you get really great coverage across. And then I'll go in using a little bit of Crown Me to finish it off. And then to blend in between the colors, I just use the domed foam blending tools again, and I go in and I just swipe it a little bit to help blend in between the colors, so it makes it really easy. Right, and then I spray it down with water. You don't have to, but the color's more vibrant if you add water because it helps it transfer a little bit more. So I'll just go in and spray it about 3 times, and you want to do, oh,
Whoops.
right. You want to do a nice fine mist on top of the surface so that you don't want globs of water because otherwise it'll get rid of some of the details in there.
Unless you want a watercolor one.
Unless you want a watercolor, then you could. And then I'll go in and press this down onto the surface, give it some firm pressure to make sure that it transfers. And then you've got a really great stamped image. So you can do this with a lot of different images, which I really love. And then if you want to, you could go in and like I did this with a stamp that from my collection. Here's the Darling Dahlia stamp. And with this one, I just transferred it, which is really awesome. And then you can go in using blending tools. So I used the larger blending tools and the little detail ones, and you just add the ink on that way, so you can get a more detailed approach to it. And then same thing, once you're done, all you do is just clean off the ink. The nice part about my inks is when you spray it down with a ton of water,
No waste.
no, well, I'm not actually gonna waste it. I'm gonna wipe it up. So you can go in with a paper towel and just
And
wipe
just
it off
scrub
the
it out.
surface. And it doesn't stain, which is really nice, so it cleans off. And if you're using an ink that might stain a stamp, it's totally fine. It will, just stain it a little bit, but you can keep reusing it just like a stamp. Or you could use like stamp cleaner on here. I know some people use Windex, and that's totally fine too. So anything to get that ink off if you need to. And then you can reheat this and it'll go back to flat. So you can keep reusing it over and over. And there's 4 pieces in this set, so you can use the front and the back. You can use the sides if you want like stripes too with the designs, which is really fun. And then we also have different packs with like circles and hearts and a larger size for to cover a whole card, which is really great.
But these are the perfect size to do the focal point, the focal center piece.
Yeah, they
if
give
you
a
want,
great
if you
focal
like the
point.
white edges, like I love the white edges.
Yeah, of course. Good to see you guys.
Okay, I could probably stay here all day. I've already recorded 30 minutes. But anyway,
Good to see you.
yes.